Couple things you need to know about the wrist and positioning of the forearm and that kind of thing. Metacarpal phalangeal joints. This right here is pronation, right? This right here is supination, right? This is radial deviation. This is ulnar deviation. This is volar flexion. And this is what we call dorsiflexion. Okay? Now they can be pronated and dorsiflexed or, ulnar deviated, radial deviated, whatever. All right? This is MCP flexion, right here. This is your metacarpal phalangeal joint. Proximal interphalangeal joint, distal interphalangeal joint. Your thumb, it only has a metacarpal phalangeal joint and what we call an interphalangeal joint, an IP joint. We abbreviate these. This would be a PIP, a DIP, an MCP.
Do you number the phalanges?
Yeah, you do. We do when we get to there, but we're not there yet. Just briefly covering what you guys are going to do wrong.
You have to know all of it?
Oh, you're going to know all of it. You're going to sleep and breathe this for the next year. That and plaster. Okay? I'm not kidding. You guys have no idea, but it gets good. All right. So, a proper applied volar splint goes on with no supination. But what I'm looking for, if this is what I would call a neutral, I want slight pronation. Just a little, is that a medical term? No. What I like to say is I want it to where he cannot see his palm. Okay? Now here's the thing about a volar splint. The reason why I do that is because it makes his ulnar styloid right here more prominent. If I put it in supination, his ulnar styloid's almost gone. It's not very prominent at all. But if I pronate him just a little bit, it sticks it out, way out there. The reason why you do that is it makes a little bump in the cast. But we're doing a splint. Still, you slightly pronate them. The other thing, if it's a splint or a cast, and it's only a volar splint or a short arm cast that you're putting on, well, I could supinate and pronate in the cast, so it really shouldn't make a difference. I could put it on in supination, and when I just take it up to Chris, I'll just pronate it. Try it. I will catch it every time. It's one of the things I look for. Okay? So what I do, a proper applied volar splint is about 15 degrees of dorsiflexion. And Tom will say 10. 5 to 10. I actually say 15 to 20. But I'm trying to make it easier for you guys. I'm going more towards Tom on this one. So 15 degrees. All right? The parameter will be, I call it the mid-palmar crease, Tom calls it the distal palmar crease. That is the crease right below your metacarpal phalangeal joint. The reason why it has to go below that is because he needs to be able to make a fist below that. That's the distal parameter. The proximal parameter is 2 finger breadths above the antecubital space. Or some people will say below the antecubital space because they'll say that's above, up here, and that's below. So technically it is below the antecubital space. 2 finger breadths below it. This is your antecubital space, so below it. Those are all written down on my syllabus for you. Everything I just said. The other thing, this will treat things such as carpal tunnel syndrome, wrist sprains. What's a wrist sprain? That's when somebody does something to the wrist and we don't know what it is. We just think it just hurts, but everything's negative, so we call it a sprain. Could be swollen, sprained. But it's sprained over here, it's still sprained. Okay? The other thing you'll use this for, post-operatively, we put a lot of things in this specific splint post-operatively. Meaning we just finished a case, or a procedure, whether it be a distal radius fracture, or carpal tunnel syndrome, trapezium release, who knows? Whatever we're doing, a lot of times they will get a volar splint after surgery. Okay? That's why it makes sense for the ortho tech in a lot of cases to assist, because you got to be there till the bitter end. Webble. The other thing this will treat, again, secondary treatments to distal radius fractures. What does that mean? Secondary treatment means they've been in a cast all the way up to here, a long arm cast, for 4 weeks. We take them out of that after 4 weeks. We put them in a short arm cast for 2 weeks. We take them out of that cast for after 2 weeks, and they're still a little sore. So we put them in a volar splint. Something they can take on and off, you know. If they're going to work or something, put it on. At home, take it off, take a shower, go to bed. They don't have to sleep with it, that kind of stuff. That's what I call secondary treatments.
How long before the lightness of your arm comes back to normal?
What do you mean, the lightness?
When you have a plaster on and it gets, and then you get used to it, and then if you take it off, it's like it's a straw.
That normally doesn't take too long. I would say a week.
Is the
Normally, you kind of notice it after about an hour. You probably stop noticing as much.